The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Blake Anderson, cryptographic economist.
Hello, Internet, and thanks for joining us for this groundbreaking episode.
Theo Goodman from Haas Online.
You are witness to another The Bitcoin Group. Be thankful.
Tone Vase from Liberty Life Trail.
Hi, everyone. Coming to you live from Conspiracies Unlimited. The Anarchapulco conference here in Mexico.
And I'm Thomas Hunt with the World Crypto Network. Moving on to Issue 1. Issue 1. Bitcoin hits 3-year peak, nears all-time high. The price of Bitcoin took off this week, as predicted on this show, with the news of the possible approval of the Bitcoin ETF spreading through the mainstream press. The hype drove the price on Bitstamp to $12.20, breaking the previous all-time high of $11.63. The GOX all-time high of $12.50, and the price of gold still remained to be broken. Tone Vase, is this the mother of all speculative run-ups on the ETF, or will it be approved and Bitcoin reach new heights?
All right, I wouldn't call this the mother of all run-ups. What happened in 2013 was way more ridiculous, because in 2013 we went from about $10, $12 in the beginning of the year, all the way to what I consider the all-time high of $1,242 on Mt. Gox on November 29th. I've actually had to debate this with people because that wasn't real because Mt. Gox was insolvent. No, it was real because people traded it and then it dropped a little bit and then it went up a little bit. There was plenty of time to get your Bitcoin out if you were smart. So to me, that is still the all-time high, and I'm waiting for that to be broken. So there is some speculation here going on over the ETF. It's just like that. It's a feedback loop that the ETF might be approved. So people are speculating on that. I personally think that, and again, not only will the ETF not be approved, I think that it should not be approved. And these are two completely separate things. I think we've beaten this dead horse to death. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it again next week and maybe the week after if we do the show right before the announcement. So let's focus on the price. So this is the same, this is the halving bubble all over again. And that bubble went from like 500 up to 760. So that was a nice, 50% run up. So we're looking at a similar run up. I don't think it'll be 50% this time. It'll probably be like a 20 to 30% run up, and we're already in it. We're smack in the middle. People are speculating. And at this point, I don't think the hype has gone to extreme levels yet. But here's the big but. If the hype takes the price of Bitcoin above 1,300 before the SEC announcement, probably closer to 1,400. If we're sitting at 1,400 going into the announcement, no matter what the SEC says, there is going to be a correction. It can be the most positive news ever. There's going to be a correction. And this correction might even start before the announcement, because people are going to say, hey, I just made a bunch of money speculating. I've been convincing the world that they're going to say yes. I've made good ass money because I'm running this propaganda machine, and I'm going to sell before that guy sells because I have no clue what the SEC is going to say. So you're looking at a run up. How high the run up will go, I don't know, but this is just how trading works. If the run up is really big, people are going to start selling. The bigger the run up, the earlier they're going to start selling. If Bitcoin hits 1,400 next week, they're going to start selling it down because they're not going to risk the announcement wiping out all their gains. But if we get stuck right here, if we get stuck around 1150, around 1200 going into the announcement, then some people will say, you know what, it hasn't gone up enough for me to risk it. I'm going to take a chance waiting for the 50-50 announcement. And then if they say no, it's going to tank. And if they're going to all sell, and if they say yes, they're going to hold and more buying will come in. So it really depends on what happens over the next week. So watch the show next week. I'm sure it will be a major topic.
We have seen a lot of sells already on the market after we got over 1,200. There's what looks like a 4,000 Bitcoin sell on the book, and then maybe a 500 Bitcoin sell after that. So there is a lot of action on the market.
But those are clearly profit taking because it's way too early. There's still plenty of time for that same buyer to get back in to ramp it up one more time. Now, if the sell was to happen like a few days before the announcement, it does not mean that that person has insider knowledge. It just means that that person has profited enough from the hype that they're not going to risk the announcement call.
It was a nice, clean $5 million sell.
So a 4,000 BTC profit take, that would be nice. I'll sign me up for one of those.
But I do hope they do something nice for the unveiling, some kind of major ceremony, something like the Oscars. We've got a lot riding on this ETF. They need to bring up the drama, like Tel was saying.
If they don't go full-blown spirit cooking ceremony with it, we won't be taken seriously by the investment world. I mean, it's very important that this is done right.
So Blake Anderson, what are your thoughts on the all-time high?
I think it's great. I think that there was a lot of talk about the ETF around 3 years ago, and it kind of boiled down and stuff. People got distracted, and now that it's being talked about again, people are, reaching this fever pitch about, where the price is going to go. All-time highs are great. I posted a fun GIF on my Twitter profile that my son helped me pick out of the spiraling roulette board, spiraling in. And I kind of gave people a cryptic warning that, buying on emotion and buying when things are really, really high with short horizons, that can be dangerous. So, put emotions aside, do your own homework, buy on responsibly long horizons. And an investment horizon refers to how long you have to have your money away from you before you need it back. And where people are decimated by big losses is where they don't have a good horizon. So let's say you have like $4 million from your work that's supposed to stay at work, but you take it home. Your investment horizon is one day. You're like, I want to put it all into Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin goes down, and then you go back. You had to take a loss on that because you had to take the money back that wasn't yours. And that's an extreme example, but a 2-week horizon or any type of horizon that you don't have the wherewithal to withstand, a severe downturn and ride it out until you don't have to sell at a loss. Don't do that with Bitcoin. So let's hope that Tone was right, that these are people with long horizons that are taking gains that are big enough to be 4,000 BTC. And let's hope that long-term growth continues in this way. I think Tone is right. There's going to be, visceral up spikes and corrections, but let's just hope that the long-term investment dollar cost averaging strategy continues to do well for the people that have been early and that really want to, be involved and have exposure to this technology.
It's definitely a great time for holders, as many noted yesterday on Twitter. After it went over 1,200, if you bought Bitcoin at any time, you'd now made some money. I'd just like to thank our 60 or so live viewers. If everyone could give us a thumbs up and push share, that'd be great. And then come back after the episode and leave a comment. Thanks so much. Theo Goodman, your thoughts on the all-time high?
It's a scam. Now, what I'm saying, yeah, it's all-time high. Everyone is freaking out. This is what Bitcoin does. And yeah, I've got a lot of very technical vocabulary words about trading and technical analysis to share with you. But instead, it's pretty simple. It boils down to, if your position if you don't feel good in your position, it's probably too big. Get out of your position. That's about it. Just keep that in mind. If you don't feel comfortable in your position, it's probably too big, and probably just chill out a little bit. What needs to happen for there to be a dramatic Bitcoin dump like we're used to is there's got to be a countdown somewhere. We need a website with a graphic, an animated GIF graphic with planets and the moon on it, and there's a dramatic countdown going on until the time when the SEC should say something, or whenever the Winklevi are going to have their press conference. Maybe there's going to be a Winklevi press conference or something, and it'll be, we need to have a countdown page with an animated graphic of outer space for that in order to enable the massive Bitcoin dump, and then the game of people trying to front run the dump of the other front run dump. And that's just what Bitcoin does. So things Bitcoin does.
Spoiler alert, at the press conference, they'll reveal that they've forked the Winklevi brothers. There are now 4 of them. The exit question is incredibly predictable. The price of Bitcoin next week, higher or lower? Tone Vase.
I've been saying higher for a while now. It's going to be higher. Look, I'm bullish. My charts are bullish, and my charts are bullish, and my view is bullish because of the ETF. So there you go.
My charts are bullish, and so am I. Blake Anderson.
Well, I was sitting and watching the price and looking for a time to buy, and it kept going up and up and up. And I was like, "No, damn you, Bitcoin! Why don't you stop going up so much so fast?" And then I think it was like 2, 3, 1 in the morning. The price went down like $50 or $60, and then when it bounced off of that, I bought some. So based on that, I mean, I think and hope it'll be up, next week and the weeks after. But my horizons again are long enough that if it's not, I'm not, up shit creek. So hope emulate that part of it, not just they said dump in all my money now. So invest responsibly.
Theo Goodman.
Lower. I'm bullish and I cannot lie. We are at an all-time high. When the dump comes, I'm gonna buy some dip, hun.
Almost a rhyme, half of a rhyme. Moving on to issue 2. Issue 2, CloudBleed. Cloudflare, the internet security company best known for those messages that pop up when you visit a website that's under a DOS attack, has discovered an interesting bug. A buffer overrun error caused Cloudflare to save data from one site on another website. The data includes everything from API keys to private messages, and now it's a race between Cloudflare and the hackers to find the missing data. Blake Anderson, I ask you, could the CloudBleed bug lead to a loss of Bitcoiners' private keys?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, as far as how it affects Bitcoin, it really, the risk of it affecting a Bitcoin account at this point, it does not seem that great. I mean, we had a similar, dissimilar attack that was, Heartbleed, and then you've got CloudBleed or Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a company, SSL, and the technologies that operate with there were much more fundamental. So this is a much smaller in scope possible infection. Also, it seems like it was a little bit more obscure, so hopefully people haven't run away with just continually flooding out these different areas and getting lots of information to these different nodes and then harvesting it out and creating attacks. That would be quite a plan to execute really effectively with the information that's been out and how long it's been there. But that's not to say that it's not a bad bug. Cloudflare, of course, is not just a DDoS protection company. They're a general security company, and they have more services than DDoS protection. So you never want to see, this kind of bug happen with their systems, allowing for this kind of overflow stuff. So people that say that, it could be bigger than the SSL vulnerability, Heartbleed, I don't think that that's true. But people say that you might want to change your passwords if you have lots of digital investments. If maybe you're a public figure, if you're Roger Ver or Joby Weeks or someone like that, it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and change your passwords, because people are looking for specifically you and ways to socially engineer you. So that would put those type of people, I think, at greater risk than your average citizen would be from this type of attack.
Theo Goodman, your thoughts?
I'm sure that this is part of an elaborate Cloudflare scam in order to hack into people's Bitcoin exchange accounts and get some Bitcoin since it's at the all-time high. Cloudflare scam.
I do think this is a good time to note again how important it is to improve your security procedures when you become a Bitcoiner. We've talked before about conferences and public Wi-Fi and how dangerous that is when you're using Bitcoin at a conference or over a public Wi-Fi. This is the same kind of thing, but from a company's perspective. The company is using Cloudflare, usually as a DOS protection, sometimes for other things, and your traffic goes through there. So you have to always be careful, not only on your end, but also on the companies that you use ends, about where your traffic is going to go.
And the larger point here is just about how complex these systems that we run on technology are. Like one equal sign instead of a greater than sign is how this happened. One character made all this stuff happen. So when people say that Bitcoin is really, really robust and elegant and simple, and that it's very, 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 very narrow, small attack vectors make it really, really strong, I mean, that really means something. In contrast with Bitcoin being the most valuable thing to attack, like ever, if you could effectively attack that, you would do that hands down, versus it, not being attacked, and things like this being the avenues where people go in to try to mess things up. The deeper the technology stack, the more layers there are to try to fumble with, and to try to figure out a way that you can communicate in a way that's not expected with some kind of lateral service to make bugs come back. So the lesson to take away from this is Bitcoin is extremely, extremely secure, and even security companies are having a hard time continuing to bring that same level of security to their clients, which is very interesting. I wrote about this a while ago, the age of digital security information technology, and how that's going to come to affect where money is stored and how it's stored, and the decentralization of banking.
Bitcoin is more secure than everything else. It's time for everything else to catch up. Tone Vase.
All right, so it's my standard answer. It's the same answer I gave when Yahoo was hacked, and it's the same answer I gave when LinkedIn was hacked. My security is bad and good at the same time. As you guys know, I hate 2FA. I find it annoying. I find it a big pain in the ass. But at the same time, I went to great lengths to protect my Bitcoin. And I never put Bitcoin on my computer. I don't have Bitcoin on exchanges. Like, I don't have Bitcoin that is really that dependent on a login and password that could be stolen through, somebody else's Wi-Fi. I just don't have it. And because I don't feel that my Bitcoin is at risk when any single website's database gets hacked, I don't care. Like, I don't care what gets hacked in my life as long as my Bitcoin are safe. And I've gone to great lengths to protect my Bitcoins. Everything else is fungible. Shit, I might change my name again. We might be doing this for a year from now, and I might not be Tone Vase anymore, right? Because everything else is fungible. Like, your email is fungible. You can go get a new email. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. You can go get a new phone number. I was a little worried about my phone number because people have gone out and ported other people's phone numbers. And I actually called up Google Project Fi because that's where my new phone number is. I ported my phone number from Verizon to Project Fi. And I'm like, oh, okay, so is it going to be easy to port that out? And no, it's actually very, very difficult. They're one of the most secure ones. So we'll see. Good luck with that, right? And even if someone ports my phone number, they still can't take my Bitcoin. Because, they can, maybe pretend to be me, call my friends and try to get Bitcoin from them, though I'm sure none of them are stupid enough to give it to me. But they also know I wouldn't be asking. So in that case, my phone, I don't think even if my phone number gets ported out, I'm sure I'll be able to get it back, right? People have been able to get their phone numbers back. And they won't be able to take my Bitcoin because they're not dependent on my phone number in any way, shape, or form. And that's about it. It's unfortunate, but
you're getting dash bombed, dude. You got to turn around and say no dash, man.
Yeah, guys are behind.
God. Hey, Danny, I'm going to kill you.
But remember that it's not just your Bitcoin that are at risk. If someone takes over your Facebook account or your Gmail, they could, like Tone's saying, email all your friends, put up a post, say that your money got stolen, say that you need help, and put up a Bitcoin address asking for help. So we really do have to put 2FA on all of our accounts. You have to protect everything because you never know that someone could get spoofed, and then your friend who's trying to help you ends up giving their money to a scammer.
Okay, let me just get in here. First of all, none of my friends, other than my Bitcoin friends, own Bitcoin. No one listened to me back in the day, and I stopped teaching. Right.
They'll all go down to Western Union, and they'll send money through the Telegram.
And as far as my Bitcoin friends goes, they all better be freaking smart enough. Here's your 2FA. Call the damn person and talk to them. I know nobody wants to call anyone anymore. Get on video. Get on a Skype call. Don't give anyone your Bitcoin, not even $100 worth, unless you're talking to them personally and they hold up a QR code or they text it to you while you're on the phone with them. So don't do that.
And remember, this was the issue with the BitPay disaster. BitPay just wasn't talking to each other and agreed through email to send millions of dollars to a hacker. All they had to do is pick up the phone and say, "Hey,
Right.
Jim, are you sure you really want me to send this $1 million? Maybe I'll, face to face, a little, something like that." They didn't have those
in financial
procedures.
tech sectors, I mean, having governance on large internal funds transfers is like, I mean, you guys heard me go off on that. But I think what's interesting is Tone is talking about some of the difficulty here, and he's definitely right. But I liked a quote by Peter Todd the other day. I think that he was the original person that said it, but somebody was asking about how secure are modern cryptographic standards if used correctly. He said, well, it's like hiding in a moon base in response to being attacked by too many wolves. I thought that was a fun illustration of how secure you can be if you really are into that. And if Tone is doing things in a compartmentalized way and he's able to achieve that, that's good. But definitely don't do nothing.
And one last comment. This goes, Cloudflare was supposed to be a respected company in the world of digital security, right? And even they screwed up. And this goes to show you how difficult it is to have a cryptocurrency. We have Bitcoin. We have some of the smartest computer scientists working on Bitcoin. Yet 700 altcoins think that they have solved all of Bitcoin's problems, right? On top of that, you have the Winklevoss twins assuming that they're going to keep the Bitcoin of the ETF safe. Now, I hear that their data scientist is supposed to be really, really good. But you know what? So was everybody else's. I mean, Coinbase seems to be doing okay that we know of, right? But
Charles Lee.
Right. But this goes to show you how difficult it is to do digital security. You add Bitcoin on top of that, it's even harder, yet thousands of people think they've solved this problem. I'm sorry, guys. Bitcoin is here to stay.
Exit question. Will the CloudBleed bug end the Cloudflare monopoly? Will companies stop trusting Cloudflare for DOS protection and instead develop their own internal or separate solution that can't be attacked and have a mistake like this? Blake Anderson.
I mean, they made a mistake of one character. It was called out really, really, really fast in terms of how long this stuff can go for when it's such a small error. I think that a different company that was trying to do the same type of work internally would have had much, much, much larger fallout and harm from trying to manage all this themselves. God, I would love to give Cloudflare a bloody nose, really have something cool to say, but God, I think they handled it the best they could.
Stay with the leader, Theo Goodman.
Clearly, it's a scam. It's the end of Cloudflare as we know it.
It's trusted too much. Tone Vase.
Well, it sounds like it was a bad update, right, Blake? Since you said it was caught quickly, it was just like a bad update where they screwed up, and I guess if that's the case, then they'll be around. Look, it's just a bad update. It was quickly fixed. That's not a big deal. I mean, this might open the door for some competitors to say, well, we wouldn't have made this mistake. So it might, diversify the field of centralized companies that are providing this protection. But it's not gonna be a paradigm shift that companies are gonna start doing this themselves.
Very good. Moving on to issue 3. Issue 3, Chinese Bitcoin miners migrate to Sichuan province. Chinese Bitcoin mining is becoming centralized in the Sichuan province because of cheap electricity prices. What does this mean for the future of Bitcoin, especially considering that the article notes at the end that during the raining season, these mining centers are flooding due to increased water levels? Theo Goodman, will a flood in China turn Bitcoin off?
That is a very good question. I mean, if we see another great flood, and in this case, the Great Flood of China, then I'm not sure how Americans will be able to consume their Sichuan chicken. Now, Sichuan chicken is really tasty, but as far as I know, some of the mining farms have prepared for this. That is why one of them, a mysterious new mining pool called Canoe, could be located there. Who knows? That is a signal that they are prepared for the possible flooding. That's why they have the name Canoe, because instead of an ark in the Great Flood of China, you will need canoes. So they are in fact prepared for this. Another thing that it shows is that we have the one narrative saying, oh, it's China, everything is centralized, it's the end of the world. Oh, and then, but it also shows that miners can move. You can move to another country. Of course, you have to have the mining gear, of course. But, you know, it is somewhat flexible. Of course, let's say all of China shut off. Okay, that would be a lot of hash power that would have to be made up. But theoretically, you know, miners can be anywhere and they can move depending on the conditions. And this is an example of that, of how miners are able to move depending on whatever conditions. Maybe you'll see Chinese miners become pigeons. In the non-rainy season, they'll be in Sichuan, and then they'll leave and go to another part of China in the rainy part, except for canoe, because they have a canoe.
They're going to need a bigger boat and maybe a wall, a great wall. Tone Vase.
I mean, I don't know what to think about this. It's not good, and it's also good at the same time. Everyone's always complaining how mining is decentralized in China. Okay, fine, start praying for a flood, right? And then it won't be so decentralized in China anymore. It's like one of these situations where people just want to complain, right? No matter what happens, they want to complain. Oh, there's too much mining in China. Oh, now they're all in the same town. Oh, what if it gets flooded? That would be bad. Well, before you were complaining that there was too much mining in China, shouldn't you be praying for this flood now? I mean, the only thing bad about this is that people know where the hell these mines are. I mean, that's what worries me the most. You really don't want people to know where you are. The safest mines are the ones that are as anonymous as possible, because I don't want the government coming in and, you know, confiscating all of the equipment at once. I would worry about that before I worry about a flood. You can't predict a flood, and I don't know. I'm sure they know what they're doing, right? I mean, they're aware of the weather conditions. They'll figure it out.
It's good to know you can always depend on the weather. Blake Anderson.
That's it. Bitcoin's done. Pack it up. We had a pretty good run. Pats on back all around. It's going to flood out, and we're all going to die, and Bitcoin's going to be terrible. That'll be fine. We can actually tackle the centralization issue by praying for rain in China. It'll flood out a couple of innocent people, but by and large, we're going to come out on top. So that's also a good strategy. You know, I mean, China subsidizing power to get more Bitcoin, or having, you know, hydroelectric power, which, you know, legitimately is better, is, you know, kind of cool. And subsidizing stuff, maybe not so cool. So it's a risk. It's a mix of cool and uncool things. Sorry, people are here to fix my exploded drain in the basement, so I'm a little bit distracted by that.
Speaking of flooding, we've got flooding right there. And of course, in California, we've had a lot of rain lately, so we're very tired of flooding. Let's move on to issue 4. Issue 4. Indian regulation group created. Bitcoin startups ZebPay, UnoCoin, CoinSecure, and SearchTrade jointly launched the Digital Asset and Blockchain Foundation of India, DABFI, which will deal with the growth of the virtual currency market. I ask you, Theo Goodman, is this going to be an improvement? Will these companies successfully self-regulate? Or is this just another group attempting to pander to the government to create their own monopoly?
Of course, it must be them trying to make a monopoly or something. So we know everything is a scam until proven otherwise. However, one thing that is interesting that I will show, because I have not been able to thoroughly investigate these companies, is that, you know, there is local Bitcoin activity in India, and the chart looks pretty good, pretty interesting, pretty explosive, pretty bullish. So that's pretty interesting. So keep that all in mind. So if, let's say that, I don't know, that these companies pander a lot to the government and there are a lot of restrictions, you know, I don't know how much volume this is compared to what the exchanges do, but it is still looks like it is definitely increasing. So there's definitely local Bitcoin activity in India. And as we saw in China recently, when there was the crackdown on the exchanges, the local Bitcoin's volume exploded. So, you know, you can definitely, so people will get Bitcoins regardless if there are a lot of restrictions, or there are only some restrictions, or if they feel the restrictions are too much. People will find a way to get Bitcoin, and they're going to probably use local Bitcoins or another method like that if this group does pander too much to the government.
And don't forget that India is ground zero for the war on cash, where they recently eliminated some rupee bills and then they're bringing them back. So it's been an interesting experiment in India. Tone Vase, your thoughts on these developments?
I'm actually not familiar with the details. I did not have a chance to read the article. It's kind of hectic here. I mean, I really like Uno Coin. I like what they're doing. They're in India. They're working with people that need Bitcoin. Now, the other thing about Uno Coin is that they're working with literally the top lawyers in India, and they're working with the top experts in regulation in India, right? So this is the big difference, right? Like, Coinbase does not have the resources to utilize the best lawyers in America and like the best people to help lobby for regulation. They just Coinbase getting $100 million will not do it. However, Uno Coin's resources probably have the reach to convince the topmost people. They're not going to convince, the prime minister or, that high up. But on a smaller level, they probably have the ear of the most important regulators there, like directly. And that situation is a little bit different. So I'm going to trust them also because they kind of know what Bitcoin is. And the difference is that in India, people are getting the Bitcoin for different reasons. They're not, their user base in India is not for as much of an illicit purposes for Bitcoin like it is here, because here in the first world, we have access to normal shit. So we kind of need Bitcoin, other than speculation, of course, for not so easy stuff. But in India, it's different, right? People actually want Bitcoin to protect themselves against, the government canceling the currency. Now, on the flip side, the government should look at Bitcoin very, very badly. But if they can pull off classifying Bitcoin as a technology, it's kind of good. So we'll see where we're headed. I'm assuming they're trying to push Bitcoin as a technology. They're not trying to push Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, as a competitor to the currency. So we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna give Uno Coin the benefit of the doubt because they were mentioned in that story. So I don't mind this yet. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of iffy. Like, sometimes I hate regulation, sometimes I like regulation, but everything is really it's dynamic. Again, my problem is the sharing of information with the government. Other than that, I don't care. Like, I want consumer protection regulation. I think they're weak. But I don't think that we need KYC AML. I think that one is too much. I want to remove KYC AML, but increase regulation on reserves, increase regulation on company management, companies doing what they're doing, and that applies to all sectors, especially finance. I just want to leave the consumer. You can protect the consumer without knowing who the consumer is. And hopefully they're pushing for that kind of regulation. Maybe maybe they're tired of all these scams coming out of India. So they're pushing for more regulation on Bitcoin-related stuff, especially cloud mining, when at the same time trying to convince them, well, we don't need to do KYC AML regulation. We just need regulation on the technology so that people don't get scammed without a need to identify the people involved. So I hope that's where they're going.
Blake Anderson.
Yeah, it's crazy at my house here. Sorry about that. People running through. Regulation is a gigantic topic because almost nobody understands what the fuck they're talking about when they engage in talking about regulation. Regulations are like a set of agreed upon practices that people voluntarily do in a group of people to make business better and to mitigate risk for their consumers and for their business, for their employees and all that kind of stuff. Well, after a while, that wasn't good enough. So then we had, regulation at the tip of a gun, brought by force. So when you're going to basically have a judiciary, which is going to completely biff their responsibility in terms of upholding negative rights, then you get things like regulatory capture, where the people that are actually empowered to regulate things end up being bought by the people that they're supposed to regulate. And then in any market, the first things bought and sold are the regulators that are supposed to enforce the rules in that market, and then they all get together and they engage in capture, and they push everything out. So when DAB-fee is dab-feeing around India and they're doing all this stuff, you have to keep both in mind, that natural regulation that's voluntarily agreed upon and enacted is the best kind. That's what we need. We're a new economy, we're a new market. That would be good to have a set of rules that people just agree upon, that makes it so that things that are safe, and then people in the community say, yes, people that engage by those kinds of practices are good and we want to be there. What we want to avoid is them going over and saying, hey, government, come and help us, and then eventually making it so that people have a differential advantage, or making sure that they have things that don't necessarily require compliance to protect people, but they require compliance to make it so that people that can't comply are pushed out. That is the danger with regulation. Modern regulation has been given the force of law, and since law is supposed to protect negative rights, there's this whole mucky area of basically a huge problem. It's one of the biggest problems in Western civilization. Regulatory capture does a lot of damage. So honorable goals for DAB-fee in terms of let's get regulation that's working before the government comes in and messes it up. But if they go and try to use their early position to engage in capture and differential advantage, that will be a double shame on them. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Exit question. Will DAB-fee pull a Losky, create new laws, and then quit to consult on their own laws? Yes or no? Tone Vase.
Oh, no, you just muted yourself. You were unmuted that whole time.
Oh, I was unmuted. Oh, shit. That was bad. Okay. I honestly have no idea. This is a very, very hard question. You know what? Let's see what happens in China. And that would be a nice blueprint for India.
Theo Goodman.
Yes. Scam.
Blake Anderson.
I mean, yeah, and that's exactly the type of thing you want to be aware of. Like, oh, they're going to go and, engage in voluntary regulation, and the voluntary nature of the regulation will be good. And then they go and they do what Losky did or whoever. They're not Losky yet, so the risk of that is, lower than it was when he was a government official. But yeah, that's the risk. And unfortunately, I think, yeah, they're probably going to come out with something that tries to keep other people out of competing with them.
The answer is no, it's too early. They're just an industry consumer group. Moving on to predictions or story of the week. Tone Vase.
All right, guys, I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to talk about the price, and I got to do it real quick because the conference is about to end, and I want to set up a few things. So let's just go through the price real quick. I'm going to go through the hourly chart first, and then we'll zoom out. This is my channel. I've been talking about this channel for a while now. I drew this channel around here, and so this would have been at the end of January. And we fell out of the channel for like a minute, and now we're back in the channel. So everything is smooth. I mean, this was amazing. Look, we're at the top of my channel, and then we came down while I was asleep, actually, which was perfect. Bottom of the channel, now we're back right into it. Here's the daily chart. I've had this green arrow since Miami conference, and we're catching up to it. Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if, whoa, that's a high arrow. That's almost 1,500. I think that's a little higher than we can go, but it would be reasonable because it's within this channel. And this channel has been around since last year. So it's, to me, this is fairly stable. I mean, to me, that's not unreasonable. Here is the Brave New Coin Liquid Index. I didn't think we'd go above this line on first go. We went above it a little bit. We'll see where the price closes in a few hours. And but again, the Bitcoin ETF is creating some unreasonable expectations. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm overall bullish. So there you go.
Theo Goodman.
Story of the week is Pepe Cash and Pepe blockchain trading article on the Daily Dot. Non-stop mass media coverage in the mainstream media of the rare Pepe trading phenomena that displays real life usages of blockchain technology on your fingertips, live in your face.
It really is the new Dogecoin. Theo, how much longer before you become a millionaire based upon rare Pepe trading tokens?
Approximately 85.2 months.
85.2 much. Watch for it here. Blake Anderson.
Prediction or story, huh? Well, my prediction is that again, people that invest short-term are going to get slaughtered. No, I guess my story of the week is that yesterday was my son's 6th birthday. Oliver turned 6. It's great. It's a trip being a parent. I guess say that kind of how that wraps into Bitcoin is that a lot of people are in Bitcoin to try to like make money. And not that I don't want to make money, but I see as a special needs parent versions of the future that aren't maybe the best. And I think the more that we can help to promote the technological instantiation of individualism, and the more that we can have classical liberalism be in existence in our medium exchanges, I think that that really makes the future better for all of us. And I think that ways that we can do that, that we can see, maybe my kid would benefit from this, would other people benefit equally? I think that we should all be doing that. So happy 6th birthday to my motivation for doing all this.
Happy birthday, Oliver. And my story of the week is the Oscars. The Oscars are this weekend, and I'm doing my annual quest to watch all of the Best Picture nominees, which is much more difficult now that they've expanded the category to 10, nominating 9 films this year. I've seen about 6 of them, watching Lion today, Fences, Hidden Figures, and Manchester by the Sea yesterday, and La La Land the day before. And I'd seen Arrival before that. Of those, La La Land, obviously the winner. She wants to be an actress when she grows up. That's a winner in Hollywood. That's how we judge things here. Also, it's about LA. They go around the city. For me, the best film so far, I liked Hidden Figures. I like the NASA influence. It's a very heartwarming story. Both Manchester and Lion will make you cry. The Oscar movies, Fences, will make you cry. They'll all pretty much make you cry. They're just some great films. Unfortunately, they're all 2 hours, 3 hours. They're killing me on the time. But that's what it takes to make a masterpiece. Theo, did you want to comment on the Oscars?
Yes, my predictions are as follows. I will open the envelope. And for Best Picture, Hidden Figures. And for Best Foreign Film, The Salesman. Why? Directors from Iran. Hollywood's anti-Trump. Iran is in the travel ban zone. Best special effects or something like that category. Rogue One. Let's see who's right with their predictions.
I would have liked to see Deadpool be nominated. I do agree with Theo. It is very political with the Oscars. I often choose the foreign language film with the German title. We do a little prediction poll. We try to predict all the categories. It's always fun. But I hope you guys have a great weekend.
I got a comment. I mean, I feel really left out here. Am I the only person, and everybody watching it, am I the only person that feels like I try to watch a movie and it's like 2 hours, I got shit to do today. Like, I can't do it anymore. My ADHD or whatever you call it is like exploded from the information age. Like, I can't watch anything for more than 30 minutes. So that's where I said I'll try to watch them. I believe you that they're good, but I have become disabled by my computer. So,
well, and especially when you're crying 30 minutes in. I mean, these movies are heavy, heavy stuff. I remember last year there's a great film nominated called Room, where it's about a woman and her daughter who were held in a garden shed by a mean, evil person. And eventually they get out, and you get this idea of this little girl going from her entire world was that room to her entire world being the world. So things like that, films like that can really open up your eyes to others' experiences. Watching Lion today, it's an incredibly heartbreaking story about a young kid in India who was lost and then is adopted in Australia, and a lot of things happen to him. Looks like we're joined by Gabriel D. Vine. Do you want to give us an Oscar prediction, Mr. Gabriel?
Hello, can you hear me?
Gabe, who's going to be the best picture? I've got La La Land. Theo's going with Hidden Figures, and Blake doesn't have the attention span to watch a movie.
Yeah, I just heard him say that, and I'm in the same boat. I lost the attention span to watch a 90-plus minute movie, but only recently, only just within the last 9 months have I gotten so ADD. It's like Brexit, Trump, lost my entire sense of concentration thing. I can read a book, but I can't, but because that's shorter. I can read pages, but the commitment. So I'm completely out of the loop.
I'll tell you the trick to watching Oscar movies. You just have to start the next one when the old one ends. Immediately start the next movie. That's what you do. And then they just keep running and you can't stop them, and you keep crying and reading subtitles, and movies keep running by you, and you feel all these emotions, and then you're just totally drained by the end of the week. So I've still got I've got 2 or 3 more movies left. I don't even know what they're about. One of them is definitely a war movie by Mel Gibson. So that's going to be a 2-hour, 3-hour type thing. And then there's a couple more. I don't even know what they're about. But thanks so much to everybody who's watching. We had about 130 live viewers. That's great.
Thank you, guys.
And yeah, give us a comment and a shout out and a like and everything. And until next time, bye-bye.
Nice haircut.